Eternal Father, I offer you the body and the blood, soul and divinity of your dearly beloved Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, in atonement for our sins and those of the whole.
My brothers and sisters, we continue with the Love Not the World series.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever.
We're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you can kind of piece it together as to why are they so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
The German philosopher Johann von Goethe once said, "There are none more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they are free." But few who hear the words ever realize that they are the ones to whom Goethe was referring. For the reality is that every person in the civilized world is enslaved from childhood. They are enslaved in a prison without walls or bars, and so few ever realize it, but all are enslaved nonetheless. And what the people of the world are enslaved to is a system of perpetual self-generating debt that is created for them wholly by design by private international banking interests. And the people are taught from an early age to just accept this debt because this is just the way things are. But the reality is that this is not just the way things are, but more the way things have been designed. And all one has to do is to glance around them at the state of the world today to realize that though this is the way things currently are, it is most definitely not the way things should be. The most powerful and useful tool a person can ever gain in their life is knowledge. For with knowledge comes wisdom and a deeper understanding. And real truth can be exhilarating because real truth will set you free. Now, whether you believe in the Illuminati or not, whether you take the time to listen to so-called conspiracy theories or not, there are some things that should be clearly understood by all. These are not conspiracy theories by any stretch of the imagination. They are well documented, quite traceable, and very provable facts. And these facts are as follows. There is one ruling bloodline that exists on this earth. This ruling bloodline is very old. It is the same bloodline that has always ruled the earth ever since the days of ancient Egypt, and it is very pervasive. For example, many people think that anyone can get to be President of the United States, but the reality is that all US presidents have been Freemasons, and a large number of them are in fact related, and their lineage can be traced back to European monarchy, and in particular to the line of William of Orange. This elite bloodline can actually be traced back a good deal further than William of Orange, and even back as far as the royalty of ancient Egypt, and it's this very same bloodline that has ruled the earth ever since, and to which the British monarchy and the current US president can both ultimately be traced. Many people may be surprised to learn that US President George W. Bush is in fact the 13th cousin of Queen Elizabeth II, the current British monarch. Reverence for the royal bloodline and worship of Amun-Ra is still carried out in the world today, though it is veiled and secretive, but the symbolism remains true, as always, hidden in plain view. Adherence to such traditions is why each of the 3 city-states of London, Vatican and the District of Columbia all have their own obelisks. The London obelisk is also accompanied by 2 sphinx wrought in the image of Tutmosis, indicating that it is in London that the royal bloodline actually resides. The fact that out of all the pharaohs to choose from, the London Sphinx depicts Tutmosis is actually very telling indeed for a number of reasons, but that is another tale. The British monarchy is steeped in ancient traditions and symbolism, and they do not attempt to hide these connections. They just don't mention them or answer questions about them, but the signs and symbols are right there for discerning eyes to clearly see, again, as always, hidden in plain view. Just a look at the royal coat of arms, the royal regalia and the coronation throne clearly demonstrates these connections. And the evidence linking these rulers to the one bloodline does exist. All the information to verify these claims lies within the public domain. It is up to each of you to connect the dots yourself. More importantly, however, is the fact that over the last 200 odd years there has developed behind this ruling bloodline another elite class, somewhat similar to a priesthood that remains hidden in the shadows. This shadowy priesthood is the money changers, the international banking elite, consisting of 13 very influential families, and it is this shadowy elite who ultimately controls things from behind the scenes. This control is achieved through covert manipulation of the global money systems and maintained through an intricate web of interconnected secret societies, through which control over the flow of all money, all resources, all food, and more importantly, all information through manipulation of the world's educational institutions and corporate media is also achieved. Many of these smaller secret societies are completely oblivious to the existence of the others, but all lead back to a round table of just 6, and ultimately to one at the very top that is populated by virtually a handful of individuals. It is this handful of very powerful men that controls all the other societies, and through them the heartbeat of the entire world. The society that sits at the very top was founded on Knights Templar traditions in Bavaria in 1776 by a man called Adam Weishaupt, and this is the Order of the Illuminati. The man who commissioned Weishaupt for the task was Mayor Amschel Rothschild, and it was done in order to carry out a plan conceived by Rothschild and the heads of 12 other families at a secret meeting that took place in 1773. These families included the Warburgs, the Schiffs, and the Oppenheimers. The Illuminati has since become the most powerful society in the world, and in the last 230 years it has been instrumental in helping the Rothschild family accumulate over 1/2 of the world's total wealth, at the cost of quite literally millions of innocent lives. The hoarded wealth of this one family alone could comfortably feed, clothe, and house every man, every woman, and every child on Earth. And this is just one of the 13 Illuminati families. The goal of the Illuminati has always been a simple one, and that is to achieve, by whatever means possible, total ownership and control over no less than every resource, every government, every rock, every drop of water, every blade of grass, and every living creature, both human and non-human, in the entire world. And since its inception, for over 230 years, the Order of the Illuminati has been tirelessly, relentlessly, and unfalteringly steering its members towards the achievement of that one ultimate goal. Through secrecy, they have so far been extremely successful in their endeavours. In fact, so much so that we are right now living in the time when they intend to see this long-spanned work come to fruition. The situation we are witnessing in the world right now is in fact the final endgame of the Illuminati. This is their big grab for ultimate power and mass depopulation. Some people claim that the Illuminati is a myth, and what is really to blame are organisations such as Zionism, but I assure you that this is not the case. It goes far deeper than Zionism, and such people have simply limited the scope of their vision. They have locked onto an answer that supports their beliefs and have refused to delve any deeper. They are not seeing the bigger picture. Greek philosopher Socrates once said that true wisdom is knowing how little we actually know, and he was absolutely correct. And this is why it is important to keep an open mind and allow your beliefs to be flexible enough to change as new knowledge is acquired. And it is important to listen to all the information and not to just that which reinforces your beliefs, because this conspiracy goes very deep, and Zionism and the Jewish influence over the money system is merely one layer of it. It goes still deeper even than the Illuminati. Those who we know as the Illuminati are merely the shadowy controllers. The plan that is unfolding in the world today is indeed an old one, and it is a plan that is very complex, but not so with the system of control that is in place to blind the people to its existence. This system of control just appears to be complex, but in reality it isn't. In reality, it's very simple, and it's very fragile. However, it is its apparent complexity that has kept it so well veiled, and it has also been kept very well hidden by constructing a conspiracy culture to breed around it, and by then promoting an air of endless ridicule towards such concepts. Indeed, the creation and proliferation of such a culture and promotion of constant ridicule towards it has been one of the Illuminati's most valuable assets in obscuring the reality of the society's existence.
I marvel at our generation, because our generation lives as if it's the only generation that has ever lived. I marvel at that. I marvel at the arrogant spirit that comes forth from the average American, where they feel like that they are entitled to everything. They should make no sacrifices, that everything should be laid at their feet, and that they are the greatest thing that has ever lived on the face of the earth. I marvel at that attitude. I marvel at that selfish, self-centered attitude of the average American. Now, am I right? Is that the average American? Do they? And when you preach to them, they feel like that you have no right to tell them what to do. That they are so great and so wonderful that they can make their own choices. Simply why? Because I'm an American. That's why. Well, I've got news for Americans. God loves Japanese just as much as He loves Americans. He loves Africans as much as He does American. He loves the Portuguese. He loves the Italian. He loves the Spaniard, the Russian. It makes no difference to Him, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. God is not impressed with America. Make no mistake about it. He is not impressed with America. I'm a native-born American. I know a little bit about this country. And I know a little bit about the spirit of the people who live here. Americans, for the most part, are hardworking people, or you wouldn't have the kind of country that you've got. They're hardworking people. But this generation of all generations feels entitled. They feel like that, when I say, what do you mean by entitled? They feel like that they have a right for all of the wealth, all of the riches, all of the blessings, everything there is, they feel entitled to it. And it doesn't stop with just the people. It goes into the church. The church feels that way. Don't trample on my rights. Don't dare preach to me and tell me that I'm a sinner. Because I'm just like everybody else, I have a right to do this. Rights of the people over the rights of God. So the book of Revelation helps us locate where we are historically, geographically, and prophetically. For the book of Revelation helps us understand where we're headed. Because I can read Revelation, and I realize by reading this book that what he said 2,000 years ago is coming together. In the 17th chapter of the book of Revelation, a woman is seen riding a beast. That woman that rides that beast becomes very prominent in the book of Revelation. The reason she is prominent is because she plays a very important role in the coming of the Lord Jesus right before his advent. You should be aware of that tonight. If you don't know anything else, you need to know what I'm about to tell you. You need to be warned about what I'm going to tell you in just a moment. You need to understand that this is not a cheap thing. That we're not here tonight to try to give you a bunch of moral platitudes to kind of teach you how to live and how to think about yourself. You get plenty of that on TV. We're not here tonight to give you some kind of a trumped up prosperity gospel where it teaches you how to feed that greed, time and time again. All you got to do is tune in TV and you'll get all kinds of prosperity pimps dishing it out to you day in and day out. It's not what we're here for. We're here tonight to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and the whole counsel of God, and that is the word of the living God. But in Revelation chapter number 17, it says a woman rides the beast. Who is this woman that rides the beast? Drunken with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus Christ. For 2,000 years she has shed the blood of the saints of God, of Christians. Christians, who is this woman? If we can identify this woman, we can identify the religious system in America, and we can identify the situation as is right before the second advent of Jesus Christ. Amen? If we can do that. But you will not hear your nationwide evangelist ever identify her. You'll never hear the talk show host. You'll never hear these guys on there who have their healing lines. You'll never hear them. You'll never hear them. Forget it. You'll turn blue in the face before you ever hear them. Why? Because they're blind leaders of the blind. I'm not trying to get all over TV. I just want to preach the truth. I'm a pastor of a local church. We just happen to video these services and put them on TV. That's what it's about. It's about preaching the truth. So who is she? Well, let me read to you from Dave Hunt's excellent book, outstanding book, A Woman Rides the Beast. Let him identify her for you. Rather still, let a cardinal. Why do they call themselves cardinal? They call themselves cardinal from the Latin word cardo, which means the keeper of the door, the holder of the keys. In plain words, a cardinal is a man who says, I hold the keys to the kingdom of heaven. We're going to quote one of their cardinals. His name is Alphonsus de Liguri, The Glories of Mary. And here's what happens after 2,000 years of degeneration into religious perversion. Quote, sinners receive pardon by Mary alone. He falls and is lost who has not recourse to Mary. Mary is called the gate of heaven because no one can enter that blessed kingdom without passing through her. The way of salvation is open to none otherwise than through Mary. The salvation of all depends on their being favored and protected by Mary. He who is protected by Mary will be saved. He who is not will be lost. Our salvation depends on thee. God will not save us without the intercession of Mary. Who would receive any grace were it not for thee, O Mother of God? Now this came from the mouth of one of their cardinals. You say they're just other Christians, preacher. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. You say they're our brothers and sisters in Christ, preacher. No, they're not. The walking apocrypha quotes from all the time. This is the apostasy of the last days. This is the preparation for the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm telling you straight. I'm telling you the way it is. This country has been deceived, and the Catholic Church is growing by leaps and bounds. How do you know? Look about you. Look in Knoxville, Tennessee. Look what's happening. Who's building the hospitals? Who's buying up the hospitals? Who's buying up everything in this town? It is them, folks. No personal hatred for these people. One of the best friends I ever had in my life was a Roman Catholic. But the truth of the matter is, what's more important? The truth of your soul and where you're going to spend eternity, or personal friendship? Would you not want someone to tell you the truth if you're in darkness? Would you not want someone to come to you and tell you the truth if you are in darkness? You would. And the problem is nobody will anymore. They're mum, they're closed, mouths. Nobody says anything. Blind leaders of the blind. I'm telling you, making a lot of people mad tonight, but I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth has a way of invigorating you, though. It lightens you up. It stirs you up. Amen. Lest you think it's all about the Catholics. It's not. I like religious freedom, don't you? I like religious freedom. In Providence, Rhode Island, they had religious freedom. Religious freedom's leaving in America, though. It's quickly going out the door. Where's it headed? It went out the way with political correctness. When you can no longer preach the truth for fear of being branded a bigot or a racist or whatever, you can't preach the truth because it's not acceptable in the ears of these sweet ears. And you know, these people in this country who get offended with everything. They're offended. Can you believe a bunch of people who watch fornication day in and day out, bed hop from one place to the next, shoot up dope day in and day out? Some of the filthiest mouth people that ever walked the face of the earth get offended. I marvel at that, don't you? They don't know what offended is. Political correctness is mind rot. But what it's done is taken its toll on the church, because people are afraid to preach anything because they're afraid that they're going to offend somebody. You see, we are where we are tonight because we have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. That's been the hallmark for 2,000 years. That and that alone. We know whom we have believed, persuaded he's able to keep that which he committed to him against that day. Personal salvation is the most discriminatory thing on the face of the earth. You're either saved or you're not saved. Political correctness hates that. It hates absolutes. It hates somebody to stand up and say, I'm saved, I know I'm going to heaven, and you can't do a thing about it. And political correctness shouts back at you, you're offensive, you're a bigot, and you're brainwashed. America, therefore, is a country that is interested in one thing, pleasure. It's hedonism. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. The religion of America is a convenient religion. As long as it feels good and makes you feel good, it'll be okay in this country. It'll prosper. You'll fill up professional basketball stadiums like they have in Houston when you get up weekly and give them a feel-good message about yourself. Here's the problem. Feel-good messages about yourself do not relate to a right relationship with God. Admitting who you are does. That'll make a difference. If this Bible is true, and how many believe it's true? Churches in this country are in grave danger. They are in grave danger. God holds your destiny. And your destiny is wound up in one person, Jesus Christ. Your hope of eternity and your hope of the future is in one person, Jesus Christ. He has a remnant. He has believers. Don't get the Elijah syndrome. He'll always have reserved to himself tens of thousands who love him dearly, and they're everywhere. Now, your government may come to the point when it defines Christianity. It may come to the point when it tells you what is and what is not the true faith of Christ. It's got to come. In order for the world to receive the mark of the beast, it's got to come. It's got to come. And how they're going to do it? Well, they're going to do it, first of all, by watering the church down to where there's nothing left in the church, so there'll be no problem in the church. They'll do it by controlling the economic system. I think sometimes things that happen are nothing more than feelers put out to see how much effect it's going to have. I wonder sometimes about that. A private corporation controls the money supply in this country. You know that. The Federal Reserve Board is neither federal nor it's reserve. It is a private corporation for profit. They control how much money is on the market. That's quite a remarkable thing, don't you think? And controlling the money, controlling the interest rates, and all of that has a direct effect on your pocketbook, whether you can buy or sell, unless you receive the mark of the beast. We're being trained. We are being brainwashed. We are being prepared to be manipulated when it comes to that time. We're being prepared. Don't you see it? Every transaction you make practically is electronic. Even if you pay with cash, there's an electronic transaction involved in it. And these electronic transactions can speed across the globe. Everything is electronic anymore, and there's electronic signature attached to you. Big Brother wants to watch where you're going. He's watching your move. He's listening to you. Not that I want people to break the law. Not that I want people to kill people. But I don't like Big Brother watching every move I make. It's none of his business. Just because you got elected into government doesn't mean you're God. And you look down upon somebody and watch every move they make. Who appointed them as God? There is an inalienable right, God-given right, that there's a certain amount of freedom you have that is not to be touched, not to be breached, a line you don't cross. And when you put cameras all over town and start watching every move that people make, you've crossed the line. But they're conditioning you. They're getting you ready. They're getting you ready to monitor every move you make, everywhere you go, every dime you spend, everything you buy, everything you believe, everything that comes into you. The internet is the next big battleground, because they'll fight over the internet next, because the internet is the one place that disseminates different ideas, different news. The internet so far has been free, but they'll put clamps on it next. Mark it down. How they're going to do it? They're going to do it by protecting your children from predators, from the ones who are coming after your kids. The ones who meet your kids on the web, on the World Wide Web, they'll come after, they'll do it that way. They'll always use a good motive to take the freedoms away. If it wasn't for the internet, there'd be people in the world that never get the truth of the news. You certainly don't believe what you get from the controlled news media. You'd better filter it and filter it strongly. Amen? What else needs to be done? It's just a matter now of all the things coming together, and he'll be here. He'll be here. There's one good thing about it, though. Thank God. We won't be here. Amen, brother. Amen. I hear the prophets in the charismatic movement, they're all the time talking about what a great revival God's going to bring and how the kingdom, God's going to build his kingdom on this earth, and we're going to raise this up, and we're going to raise that up, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. I say, hogwash. You don't know what you're talking about. Evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. That's what's coming, and that's where we are now. And it's right around the corner at the door. Are you ready? Do you believe for 1 minute that the government cares if you live or die? So the next time they come out with something that takes your freedoms away to protect your health, watch it closely.
Okay, so in the last part of this series, which was series 3, part 3, I ended off that part looking at a video of a girl who is sitting with her parents, and she tells her parents that she wants to become a trans. And so as you watch the video, you see that she, in fact, does not mean a transsexual as what we traditionally know and has become part of the norm in society in these last days, that changing your gender has become part of the norm. But the girl that goes on further to say that she wants to be a trans, and not transsexual, but she actually wants to be transhuman. And that is very telling about where the world is actually going to. And this is going to become more prevalent as we get closer to the end.
I just want you to know.
I love you, Mummy and Daddy.
I know you do, sweetheart. And I'm going to ask you to take the filter off. Will you do that for me?
I think I've been uncomfortable for a very long time.
We know.
I've been thinking ever since I was born that I don't belong in this body. Oh my God.
It's all right. It's really okay, darling.
I've been reading up on it, and I think I'm trans.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh, it's all right, darling. I swear.
It really is. Now look at us, we're fine. We're completely fine, aren't we? And I know we might be a bit slow and a bit old, and this is going to be confusing for us, and we'll make a mess of it sometimes, but we love you.
We love you. We absolutely love you. We always will. I mean, we don't need to rush. We've got lots of time to talk about this.
And you know, if it turns out that we've got a lovely son instead of a lovely daughter, then we'll be happy.
No, I'm not transsexual.
Oh,
Is that not the word now?
but you said trans.
What did we call you then?
I'm not transsexual. I'm transhuman.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, they keep changing the words. I don't know the difference.
I don't want to change sex.
No, sure. We say gender now, don't we? Sorry.
I said I'm not comfortable with my body, so I want to get rid of it. This thing, all the arms and legs and every single bit of it, I don't want to be flesh. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to escape this thing and become digital.
What do you mean?
They say one day, soon, they'll have clinics in Switzerland where you can go and you'll sign a form and they'll take your brain and download it into the cloud.
And your body?
Recycled. Into the earth.
So you want to kill yourself?
I want to live forever. As information, because that's what transhumans are, Mum. Not male or female, better. Where I'm going, there's no life or death, there's only data. I will be data. You promised me! You liars!
But realize this, that in the last days, difficult times will come. For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to a form of godliness although they have denied its power, and avoid such men as these.
And if you think you're going online, you make a sad mistake. I'm switching it off. I will go analog if I have to, so you can't read any more of that shit.
Okay, so some time passes in this series, and the next time that this theme is encountered is when the girl is now with her mother, and she decides to ask her mother to have lunch with her because she ends up going to actually do these implants in order to become a transhuman, so as to speak. So she goes against what her parents want for her, and she decides to do things on her own without her parents' permission.
Well, maybe you can give me advice. When I went to university, they said accountancy was a job for life. But now, thanks to your lot, artificial intelligence can do my job in 1 second flat. I'm going to be quite literally redundant in every way.
Will you call me?
Sorry?
Will you call me?
You mean telephone me?
Yes.
When?
Now.
But you're sitting right here.
This is why I wanted to have lunch. You just phone me. Now. Hello, Bethany speaking.
Hello?
You phoning for Bethany?
Yes. What are you doing?
This is Bethany. Can you hear me?
Well, you're right in front of me.
But can you hear me down the phone?
Oh, my God.
This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I have integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year.
When I phoned you, it was ringing. You were ringing.
That's the speaker. So small.
Okay, but when did you get this done?
That course in Winchester, I had one finger done every night. I still need to use a handset to phone out. Look.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, but look, I can't believe you had surgery without telling me.
Skin plants, not surgery, and I knew you'd be cross. But I'm 18, and you had that tattoo when you were 18, and it's the same sort of thing. And I wanted to ask you, will you do me a favor?
What?
Will you tell Dad?
Oh, sweetheart.
Please, will you tell Dad for me?
Yes, my brothers and sisters, so having watched these parts, you have to really understand that one thing is that you need to know is that you have to be who you are, who God created you to be. The world is going to try to change you. Physically, as you could see with the girl and her phone, that is where the world is going. It is trying to change you. And I believe that is one of the main traps that the devil is setting for this world, is that people are beginning to feel that they're imperfect in the way that they are, and that they need to be changed in some way. Remember, God created you perfect. When he was creating the world, after you created the things in the world, he would always say that it is good. Okay, and remember that God cannot create something that is not good. God is perfect, so what he creates is also perfect. So you should not fall into the delusion that there's something wrong with you. You lack something. And that is why you're seeing also that a lot of the movies and films that are out there, and they all promote this idea of transhumanism, somehow changing you. And we look at all the superheroes that are promoted, and how they've had to go on some form of transformation. And all of that is to get people used to the idea that the current state you're in is not a perfect one, so as to speak. And it is where all this thing of evolution and so on, all of those delusions are there for you to fall into some sort of belief. Whatever belief you fall into, the devil doesn't really care, as long as it's not the belief that God has set for you and for your life. That is why Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, the life, to let you know that he is the way, the truth, and the life. There is no other way. He doesn't say I am a way. He says I am the way. So you truly have to know and understand that. Yeah, sorry, my phone is giving messages. So it's that, my brothers and sisters. I'm hoping that when you've watched this, you've at least have a better perspective of the situation that we're in and where the world is going. Because I understand that as you develop your relationship with the Lord, I've said this in previous videos. I remember that I've said this before, that you'll begin to learn things before the time. It's one of the huge benefits of having that relationship with the Lord, is that he reveals things to you before the time. And in knowing that and really treasuring that, you'll truly see that you begin to prosper with your life. And it's a true prosperity, not the material one that is promoted in a lot of so-called Christian churches. So it's simply that, my brothers and sisters, it's always an honor delivering these episodes to you. And I hope that as I continue with this series, that you continue to be enlightened as I've been enlightened through my research. And I ask that you please pray for me, as you pray for your brothers and sisters all over the world, as I pray for you as my brother and sister in the world. Please just continue to pray and know that the Lord is in control. I thank you, Lord, Heavenly Father, as I'm saying to the Lord, where the word teaches us that where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst. So truly believe that the Lord's presence is with you. And in saying so, I end off this video. As always, peace be with you.
For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world. For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world. For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world. For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world.